These are my African cichlids. And so are these. I call them nut jobs and inmates, but that's only because their behavior can often be somewhat questionable. And looking past their physical beauty, there's actually a lot more that makes them one of the most interesting types of aquarium fish. I won't be talking about the physical appearance of African cichlids in this video, but only the behavioral characteristics that make them so weird, but also really cool. And this will also be my last video for a couple of weeks, at least a couple of weeks, so I'll tell you about that a little bit later on, but let's get to it. Here we go. Some of these behaviors I briefly mentioned in my African cichlid suck videos, but I'm going to go into more detail for you here. And the first weird behavior that you'll get with these guys is that they're just never really satisfied with how you decorate their tank. Do what you want, but I promise you, they're going to do some redecorating, which is really interesting because you'd think it would be kind of hard to do without any hands, but somehow they manage with just a little pie hole. Moving things around is kind of a big deal to them. And the nut jobs in Alcatraz are nothing compared to the souped up mbuna redecorators I have in the 75. They aren't happy until every bit of sand is gone from the middle of the tank. My Mangano Astro is the yard supervisor, but he mostly just gets frustrated with everyone's lack of passion, and he does it all himself and then punishes the others all day with quick little chases. Just look at this weirdo's art, will ya? You're witnessing the making of his beautiful masterpiece. It's like Michelangelo said, the sculpture is already complete within the marble block before I start my work. It's already in there, I just have to chisel away the superfluous material. Except with these inmates, they chisel away until there's absolutely nothing left. But beauty is in the eye of the beholder, as someone else once said. If you were married to someone who behaved like an African cichlid, here is what you'd come home to after work. Oh, hi honey, guess what I did while you were gone? Oh, you know the TV? I turned it upside down so we can't watch it. And also I took all the blankets in the house and towels and I just piled them up against the back door. It's gonna be great. Oh, and one last thing. You know the couch? You probably noticed already, but it's vertical. So it's really hard to sit on, but it looks great. But I just accept that this is how it's going to be. They'll do whatever they think is right in their own eyes, and it doesn't look too horrible. I mean, it isn't like they're shell dwellers. But it can be irritating if you're in the wrong mindset, or you can just accept it, like I have, and learn to love this weirdo behavior of African cichlids.
Subscribe, or someone dies. Ding ding.
Another interesting characteristic of African cichlids is their voracious appetite. There are no other fish that get as hungry as African cichlids do. Well, maybe a piranha after you haven't fed them for like 2 or 3 days, or a week. They know when supper time is, and they watch me closely every time I get close to the fridge. That's where I keep their food. It keeps it fresh. They don't want no stale food. Eyes are always on me just about every time I'm in the room, but doubly so at supper time. They'll usually do a lot of splashing around as soon as they see me pull out their food in their special container. They actually know what the container looks like because if I pull out something else, they absolutely don't give a shit. And today, they won't recognize this because it's the first time they've ever had it. I used to buy frozen krill from the pet store, but it's super expensive for just a little bit, and this 2-pound bag of shrimp at Costco is only about $20. And he gets so much. My recommendation is to keep it in a tofu bag or something that no one in their right mind likes to eat, because people will actually eat this gross stuff. Seafood's disgusting, by the way. Now watch them as they follow me to the right side of the tank, because that's where I usually feed them. And in she goes. Look how excited they are and how quickly they gobble it down. They really do have a love affair with any kind of food you throw in the tank. This is a special weekly treat, by the way. Don't give them too much of this or they can die from the notorious Malawi bloat. They could also call it the gluttonous fish disease. What treats do you give your fish? Let me know in the comments. Check out this guy with one hanging out of his mouth like a cigar. When that happens, they have to play keep away because everyone's just going to try to steal it. Can you imagine if you ate a piece of steak so big it hung out of your mouth for 5 minutes and people kept invading your space and trying to make a move to snatch it out of your mouth? Well, that's what my lunch is like actually every day at work. And there's something else about African cichlids that makes them pretty cool regarding food. And this one applies to almost all cichlids, not just Africans. They love to sift through the sand looking for any pellets that have gone unnoticed, or maybe even tiny particles so small you can't even see them with the naked eye. I told you they were gluttons. If you took one out to a restaurant, they'd be the ones licking the plates clean. Here are my red-headed Tapajos doing it. They're a South American cichlid in the Geophagus family. The Geos are actually more of a professional quality sand sifter because they rarely ever stop doing it. The Africans do it at feeding time and then here and there, when they start feeling it, I guess. It's cool watching them spit out mouthfuls of sand. It also stirs up the substrate, spewing some of that detritus back into the water column, which helps it to make its way back to your filter, which also helps keep your tank nice and clean. So you know in your community tank how after you do a water change, everybody's just kind of unsettled for a while. Well, African cichlids are the total opposite of that. Dropping in the Ultra Zero pump so I have to work less. And let's go. This one I think is really funny. Water changes are usually a really stressful event for your fish, for your normal, well-adjusted fish. But these Africans are much different than normal fish in just about every other way, and this is no exception. As the water gets lower, they do start to look a little scared, hanging out as far away as they can get from the pump. Maybe because it does create a little noise. It isn't so noisy out here, but water amplifies it, so it probably is quite a bit noisier to them. So far they do seem like they might be a little normal, right? Scared like most fish would be. Check out my clamp system, by the way. Works nice. But now I'm filling it back up. And it'll take a minute, but watch them slowly come to life as the water shoots into the tank and I get the filters going. I think the filters are what really turns them on. Someone once told me that they dig it because it reminds them of spawning season in Lake Malawi. I have no idea if that's true. Let me know if you think I was lied to. After all this is done, they're frisky and having a good time. Usually I'll get a lot more chasing after a water change too, but today they're actually seeming a little chill. But it sure didn't take them long to get their colors back from being colored down while I was dropping the water level. African cichlids love water changes. I think that's pretty weird. Most fish are somewhat afraid of you. They want to keep their distance. Well, African cichlids, not so much. They'll come right up to the glass to greet you and follow you around wherever you go. Left to right side of the tank, it doesn't matter. They'll just go wherever you are. And even if you stick your hand in the tank, if you do it enough, they become quite used to it and they'll just come right up to you. If you put your hand in your tank long enough, African cichlids will really warm up to it. Mine used to swim through it all the time. Lots of my guys in Alcatraz are fairly recent additions, so they aren't used to me yet. But I have had a few in here a while. And Zeke is the main one who's hanging out with my giant aquatic hand now. Look at him giving my finger a little kiss. It's not a bite, it's a kiss. Okay, well that hurts. It might be a hybrid kiss-bite. Or maybe just a bite. He's probably aware that I've been telling you how awesome he is for a couple years now. I've been temporarily too busy to wipe down the panels as often as I would like, or they would be a little bit more receptive. It's not a good idea to touch your fish with your hands, but sometimes I still do. And I know I'll get some negative feedback for this in the comments, but it's just so cool. African cichlids also race to the front panel every time you stop to look at them. And they follow you side to side as you walk by, mainly because they probably think you're going to feed them every time they see you. They're very interactive with you, and that's something you don't get with a lot of normal aquarium fish. The interaction you get with these guys is definitely something that makes them very endearing to their human keepers. Special thanks to Bree, who has become my quality checker after discovering after I released last week's video that I don't know how to spell contagious. Embarrassing. Now because of Bree, if my videos are terrible, it won't be because I don't know how to spell. Most fish really don't have much personality. I mean, wouldn't you agree? You just feed them and they eat and then they just swim back and forth all day. Well, African cichlids are the complete opposite. They have a lot of personality, and I mean not just as a group, but individual personalities. Yeah, they're not just dumb fish like tetras. Like I said earlier, they know which container has their food in it from 15 feet away, and they know what time it is because they don't get excited when I open the fridge at the wrong time. But anyway, personalities. Zeke is kind of my Clint Eastwood fish. Yeah, I like actor comparisons because I love movies. Who else loves movies out there? Let me know. Zeke is really a quiet, tough dude. And we're friends too. You saw him trying to eat me. My close friend. Icarus the mbuna. He's really small and likes to hang out with the big guys, but he also needs to step away for a few moments to collect himself in one of his privately owned pipes. He doesn't like to have any company either. He's like the old guy in Monster House.
Get off my lawn!
Ferk the second is my John Candy. If you're too young to know who he is, then you need to watch Uncle Buck. I mean, stop this video right now and go watch it. But come back. We'll wait for you. Ferk the second loves to eat, and someone can be mean to him, and he'll still find a pile of gold in a pile of shit. Oh, and don't forget Uri, named after the magician psychic power guy who claimed to be able to bend spoons with his brain, Uri Geller. Uri possesses some of those mental control powers, but he's still developing a personality. I'm just talking about him now because he's some people's favorite fish. You know who you are. And many other fish in my tank have great personalities, but I don't want this video to be too long. But maybe you can spot some different personalities from the B-roll I always include of my fish in my videos. So let me know if you have any fish that you really enjoy that have unique personalities. Doesn't have to be an African cichlid. And regarding what I said earlier, I'll be taking a couple weeks off from making videos because I just have so much work piling down on me. And these videos take a lot of that time, so I'm just gonna have to put it to the side for at least a few weeks. Mainly because I have a big aquarium coming from Custom Aquariums that I need to get ready for. It's gonna need a place to go and I have no place to put it. So I have to build that stand I've been talking about for quite a while now. Get that going, so next time you see me, hopefully I'll have that completed and that maybe even the tank installed. And that, my friend, is a wrap.